Alright, hey YouTube, it's Big Juicy Doocy here, and I'm back at it again with another fucking video, and I actually want to talk about something that is a little personal to me, not necessarily so much, but it is, you know, I can relate to this subject, and what it's going to be is ADHD, inhibition, how they, I guess, intercept, you know, how they mix and how they're related and everything like that. And my experiences, you know, and my opinions on it over the years of owning it and having it and living with it day to day. And I'm just gonna start off, and what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna read this is Reddit page, and I was just looking up I was looking up low inhibition ADHD type stuff because it's been on my mind recently for reasons that some would know. But look, ADHD is strongly associated with criminal behavior. Studies show that at least 25% of prisoners in the United States have been diagnosed with the disorder. ADHD sufferers often exhibit dark triad personality traits. Okay, my brother Jordan, he's a cool guy, man. He's not, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just made some bad decisions. He has ADHD. So I will say that this is probably true to, it's probably 100% true, but it's true to an extent at least, just because I know right off the top of my head that I have one example of this happening. But yeah, and ADHD kids tend to be more dominant. Happens. I'm not gonna say that I'm over here dominating boys or whatever. But I was definitely not like a bitch or nothing. So, but look, I think we're gonna go ahead and skip this because this is a lot, and yeah, I don't really care about fathering children and all of that. That's just not cool to me. I mean, it's cool, but I'm just not interested right now. And look, another huge thing is males with ADHD tend to have sex way younger. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I know for in the case of somebody I know who has ADHD, they fucking lost it at 13. Okay, so I think it's the fact that they can't really see, and I'm saying they, like it's not me as well. I know this feeling a lot, very well. You can't really see the consequences of an action. You could see the potential aftermath if everything goes right in the future, but you don't really take the time. When you process information, you don't take the time to think about what could happen potentially that would be very negative towards you. You know what I'm saying? So you just look for all of the good that can happen. It's like selling drugs and not being scared of the police showing up and thinking you're invincible because you're getting all this money or whatever, and that's all you can think about. But in reality, if a cop stops you and you got fucking this shit on you, you're gonna go sent right to prison. If you have the money on you, it's things like that. They tend to lack, I believe that would be called insight. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But yeah, I lacked it. It's something that can be taught, though, is what's really good, and it's very advantageous. Okay, like having ADHD is so good, and this is proof why. I'm not, of course you can disbelieve me, but in my personal experience, ADHD has helped me process information, and it helps me be optimistic. And when things are crazy and when things get bad and there's no other option, my brain shuts off. I shit you not. I don't think, when I got into fights, I got in a lot of fights young, okay? And this is another thing is ADHD, like it says that, you know, tend to be more aggressive. Was the case for me. I think I might have gotten in at least 20 fights in my 6th grade year alone, and I wouldn't think. And recently me and my dog were by this river by my house called the Guadalupe River, and he jumped in it. Okay, he jumped in it on some stupid shit, and I had to like chase him down, and I was almost about to jump in, but he actually got saved by this log. But the thing is when that happened, as soon as I realized he was gone, I wasn't thinking about what to do or anything. I was acting purely on instinct. Like I gotta save this dude. I gotta save my dog. Is what was the first things that went to my mind. And it's very, very advantageous. I'm telling you, it is amazing. But yeah, that's just one big advantage. And I will say that from a medical standpoint and everything, I feel like the only reason that ADHD came about is because, and I've thought this for many years, although I didn't think that many people believe me. I think my father was always against it, but I feel like ADHD is just a label that they put on boys, primarily boys, when they act out in the classroom to make the teacher's $30,000 a year job just a little less painful. I mean, really, it's not that hard to be a teacher. I feel like men tend to be the best teachers, but it's still a field dominated by women. And these women don't give a shit about the kids, man. They don't give a shit about their own kids. But yeah, I mean, they don't give a shit. They label them with ADHD. They tell their parents to take them to the doctor, get them diagnosed or whatever. You know, start fucking force feeding them risperidone and Adderall and whatever the fuck else you want to put in that child's body to make him sit still in class and behave in class and do his work in class. However you want to drug up your child, basically, and that's what I don't agree with that. So I don't agree with it whatsoever. And in my case and in somebody else that I know's case, like I stopped taking the medication, the ADHD medication, as soon as I started realizing how bad it was. You know, as soon as I started getting a mind of my own, I just started shutting that shit off. But you know, the people with ADHD, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who just started like realizing how much of a waste it is that you're paying $60 a month that could add up. You know, I know my parents have spent at least like $1,000 on me on medications and different types of psychology and shit. At least $1,000, if not way the fuck more, because they genuinely thought and wanted there to be something wrong with me. Of course, with that all in mind, I wasn't the best behaved child, and I mean, I went through special ed, I did all of that shit, and that was my life, man. For my elementary school, man, until I got to 3rd grade, and I outsmarted this kid. But if y'all want to hear about that, I'll tell y'all some other time. But yeah, I just did some bullshit to get out of special ed. Stopped taking the ADHD medication when I was about 11 years old, and I started truly looking at how it is bad for society. It is in fact feminizing society, I think. Man, I just think the boys will be boys. Boys are meant to fight. Boys are meant to fuck, and boys are meant to provide. That's who they are. You know, as boys turn to men, they're supposed to experience all of these things, and that's what makes them men, is knowing how to do all that shit. But yeah, just I don't agree with it. If you're a fucking parent by chance at all, which is very unlikely, but it could happen, don't give your fucking kid any ADHD medication. Don't give your kid any ADHD medication or anything like that. Let him be, let him experience life how he was supposed to experience it. If he has ADHD, send him off to school. If he gets suspended, don't get mad at him, okay? I mean, punish him, of course. Don't encourage that behavior, but don't get pissed at him for a supposed psychological disorder. If it is, although like I was stating earlier, boys will be boys, okay? But I mean, what else? What am I missing? Oh, also on this Reddit thing, ADHD was likely an advantageous trait in pre-Neolithic times, even though by modern standards men with ADHD are often impaired in psychosocial, educational, and neuropsychological functioning. They may still be favored by sexual selection. And the researchers also noted that unpredictable behavior, a hallmark of ADHD, might have been helpful in protecting our ancestors against livestock raids, robberies, and more. After all, would you want to challenge somebody if you had no idea what he or she might do? In essence, the traits associated with ADHD make for better hunters, gatherers, and worse sailors. Better. See, that right there, that paragraph supports what I was saying earlier. Of course, we could look at the source, I suppose, to find out the credibility of all of this. Of course, there can always be more and more studies to prove the credibility of a topic or a subject or whatever. But if we were to have to be back in times before civilization, and when it was truly just a dog eats dog world, and men were out here fucking chasing animals with spears and having bows and arrows and everything like that, to have a village with boys that all have insane hyperactivity, mental activity is absolutely out of this world. It would have been so. Imagine just an army. Imagine if all Spartans, okay, and it's probably pretty likely that a lot of the Spartan boys did have ADHD, because this is all natural. Boys are supposed to be hyper, like I was saying, and they probably were bouncing off the walls, not having any medication. The only people that could stick those boys in line, the only things would be either fear, or that's really it. It would have to be fear from maybe like an elder or something like that. So, I don't know the rankings. I don't know all that shit, but like I say, man, it's just ADHD is not a bad thing. To wrap this up, I get summary time. All right, summary time. That's what we're gonna label it. To wrap it up, ADHD is not a bad thing. I 100% do not agree with giving your children any ADHD medication or anything like that. Hyperactivity is not a brain disorder at all. ADHD is advantageous in many circumstances, and low inhibition can be trained. This is all essentially when I'm talking about ADHD. I'm also talking about low inhibition. Okay, so these things kind of go hand in hand. But the thing is ADHD, if it's truly diagnosable, and it is, like there's something in your brain that is chemically different from the average boy that doesn't have quote unquote ADHD, then ADHD is neurological, but having ADHD also in turn makes you low inhibition. Okay, so low inhibition can be trained, and I recommend 110% learning to trust your gut, act on instinct, and have low inhibition for future success in your life. When things get rough, you gotta not think about it too much. You gotta act on it. You gotta act about it. Actions speak louder than words. Okay. So but that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. I am going to continue to be making videos like this, and because I truthfully cannot run out of words to to say about certain subjects, and I'm very I care a lot about subjects like this. I care a lot about people that a lot of these subjects affect, but just stay tuned if you want to see gameplay, opinionated content, and other shit like that. So just like, subscribe, and share. Comment what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.